Imagine you have a time machine and you decide to journey back 100 years. What do you think would happen? Time travel, an idea that has fascinated us for generations. It's been a staple of science fiction, capturing our imaginations with the possibilities of what could be. We've seen it in books, in movies, in TV shows, and even in our daydreams. The concept of being able to leap across the ages to witness history firsthand or to foresee the future is nothing short of captivating. Now let's take this idea and turn the dial back a century. Picture it, you step into your time machine, dial set to the year 1924. As the machine whirs into action, you feel a rush of anticipation, excitement, and a twinge of fear. What will you find when you step out? How different will the world be? And more importantly, how will it react to you, a visitor from the future? The year 1924, a time when the world was a vastly different place. Technology, society, culture, all dramatically unlike what we know today. But it's not just about the shock of the new, or rather the old. There are consequences to consider, repercussions that could ripple through time as a result of our hypothetical journey. What happens when we introduce ideas, knowledge, or even diseases from the future to the past? Could we inadvertently change the course of history? Or perhaps we could become victims of our own unfamiliarity, struggling to adapt to a world without the comforts and conveniences we take for granted in the 21st century. In this video, we're going to explore these questions, diving deep into the implications of our hypothetical journey. We'll navigate through the environment and technology of the era, delve into the societal norms and cultural expectations, and wrap up with an analysis of our time-traveling adventure. So buckle up as we set the coordinates for the year 1924. As you step out of your time machine into 1924, the first thing you'd notice is the stark difference in the environment and technology. The air, unfiltered by our modern air purifiers, may have a distinct smell due to the prevalent use of coal for heating and cooking. The skies, though less polluted by greenhouse gases, would be smudged with the soot from factories and steam engines. The lack of noise pollution, on the other hand, could be a pleasant surprise, with the sounds of nature having much more prominence. The environmental changes, while intriguing, could also pose significant health risks. Without the advances in medical technology we enjoy today, diseases such as tuberculosis and influenza, which were rampant in the 1920s, could pose a serious threat. Additionally, the absence of modern hygiene standards could lead to frequent bouts of food and waterborne diseases. Now let's talk about technology. Imagine a world without smartphones, internet, or even color television. Back in 1924, radio was the cutting-edge technology, with families gathering around their sets to listen to news broadcasts and radio shows. Communication was primarily through letters and telegrams, a far cry from our instant messaging and video calls. Transportation would be another area of drastic change. Instead of hopping into a car and driving off, you'd likely have to rely on horse-drawn carriages, bicycles, or your own 2 feet. Trains powered by steam would be your best bet for long-distance travel. Air travel, while existing, was in its infancy and far from the commercial industry we know today. Daily life would be drastically different without our modern conveniences. Tasks such as washing clothes, cooking meals, and even lighting your home would require significant effort. Imagine having to hand wash every piece of clothing, or cook over a coal stove, or read by the light of a kerosene lamp. From horse-drawn carriages to hand-cranked telephones, adjusting to 1924's technology would be a shock to the system. Stepping into 1924 isn't just a step back in technology, it's a leap into a completely different society and culture. Imagine for a moment you're in a world where societal norms and cultural traditions are vastly different from what we know today. In the early 20th century, the world was still grappling with deep-seated prejudices. The stark lines of race, gender, and class were drawn far more rigidly than they are today. The concept of equality was still in its infancy, and discrimination was rampant and often legally sanctioned. For those of us accustomed to the progress we've made over the past century, these attitudes can be shocking and potentially dangerous. Picture this. Women had only just won the right to vote in the United States, and the fight for gender equality was far from over. The notion of women working alongside men in professions outside of nursing or teaching was met with resistance, if not outright hostility. If you're a woman, or if you're used to working with and respecting women as equals, this could lead to some uncomfortable, even dangerous confrontations. And then, there's the issue of race. The ugly specter of segregation was the law of the land in many parts of the world, including America. People of color were systematically denied their rights, forced into inferior schools, and subjected to violence and intimidation. If you're a person of color or simply someone who believes in racial equality, navigating this terrain would be fraught with peril. Class structure, too, was more rigid. The wealthy and the working class lived in different worlds, with little interaction or understanding between them. The idea of social mobility, of working your way up from nothing, wasn't as widely accepted as it is today. These societal and cultural differences could lead to confusion, misunderstandings, and potentially dangerous situations. It's not as simple as adjusting to a world without smartphones or internet. It's about understanding and surviving in a society that may not accept you or your values. Navigating the social landscape of 1924 would require more than just an old-fashioned suit and hat. So, we've seen the environmental, technological, and societal challenges of time traveling back to 1924, but what does it all mean? In essence, we've learned that time travel is not a simple walk in the park. The environment a century ago was vastly different, lacking the conveniences and comforts that technology today provides. The societal norms and cultural practices were also unrecognizable compared to the present. We would have to navigate a world without our modern understanding of rights, equality, and freedom. Time travel underscores the importance of appreciating the progress we've made, understanding our history, and acknowledging the struggles our ancestors faced. It reminds us of how far we've come and how much further we have yet to go. So while it's easy to romanticize the past, the reality is that each era comes with its unique set of challenges. While time travel might be a fascinating concept, it's clear that living in the past would be more challenging than it might seem at first glance.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. That's all for Nifty Narrations.